All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Hey, everybody, thanks for joining today. We'll be taking a look at the new Infor CRM version 9. I'm Trevor Walker. I'm the main Infor CRM consultant here at Technology Advisors. I've been working with Infor and Sales Logics for about 15 years here. And joining me today is Ed Heinzes from Infor. And he's going to be walking us through the new and updated items in Infor CRM version 9. If you have any questions, we'll have some time at the end to go over those, or just add them to the chat at any point. And with that, I'll turn it over to Ed, and he'll give us a look at version 9.
Okay. So first and foremost, it's you have to give me control so I can steal the screen from you.
All right, are you able to now?
There you go. Yes. I want to go right there. Share. Okay. You see my screen? Yes.
Yeah, I can.
Okay. So I appreciate being invited. I always like getting out and helping out our partner community and all of their customers as well. So my name is Ed Heinzes. Great pronunciation, by the way. I'm pretty pleased that you actually got that out exactly perfectly. So thanks, Pete, for that. I am a member of the customer experience team at Infor, and I've been with Infor for a number of years, but I've been with the product even longer, right? So there's obviously a lot of history that goes along with what this product is, and we'll talk about that a little bit. But part of what I want to do today is, sometimes we actually have to remind people what we're talking about and what the goal is. So I'm going to go through a couple of slides, and then we'll actually get into the meat and potatoes of version 9, right? And all the good things that are coming out from Infor and what we're doing for the particular platform. But we always have to kind of round everything back to the point of, hey, we're talking about CRM, right? And what is CRM about, and how does a good CRM implementation come to fruition, right? And the goals behind a CRM is really to make your sales team much more efficient at the things that they do, right? Give them the ability to be a little bit more consistent, a lot more repeatable in the things that they do that are successful. And then from the management side of the house, or even I guess from a salesperson side of the house too, be able to be accountable, get measurable, right? Get analytics and dashboards and actionable information out of the CRM. So the CRM really brings a whole lot of things to the table. And from the Infor perspective, right, it's a lot bigger than just the CRM, right? Inside of the CRM, if you're using the platform or thinking about using the platform, it covers an awful lot of bases, right? It does a number of things extremely well. Clearly, it's all about opportunity management, right? So that's accounts, contacts, leads, opportunities that you can support throughout the platform. But really, we handle some things for customer service. We do things with all of our integrations. When we talk about integrations, that's our ERP stuff. And other things too, CPQ, marketing automation, right? There's a number of things that we bring to the table that all share and do information inside of the CRM, right? So for us, it's a big common destination on how we deliver and how we share. And I usually say that the CRM itself is really a polite consumer of data that comes out of all these other systems. But in reality, we are quite a producer of information as well, right? So from the CRM side of the house, right, accounts, contacts, leads, and opportunities. And a lot of that information is always pushed over to an ERP because the holy grail of data really is your ERP. Where's the data coming from? Who's, shipments, receivables, product availability, things like that really come out of the ERP. But when you're integrated properly, right, with Infor CRM SLX, that information gets risen up to the CRM itself, right? Part of the goal of a good integrated CRM platform is to get your sales team out of the ERP, right? We don't want them mucking around with that kind of data. So we do a really good job of making that integration possible, right? And you guys get to determine how much, when, how information moves left and right. The core CRM itself really covers 3 major components, right? Sales, marketing, and services. That has not changed for a very, very long time for Infor CRM, right? It's been around multiple ways, and your ability to deliver that information, whether it's on a tablet, on a phone, looking at it from your inbox perspective, we'll take a look at some of the things that are coming out there. Cloud, we still offer the on-premise solution, so that is only getting better, right? Which is kind of odd for a cloud company, right? That we're continuing to push forward and continuing to make minor enhancements to what we call the fat client, the LAN client, right? Whatever you guys want to call it. But you still have the ability to put all of this stuff on premise and then deliver it to your teams however you need to, right? Licensing, I usually get myself in trouble when I start talking about licensing because I'm just the technical guy, right? But we have a very flexible licensing model as well to fit in how you guys want to deliver and how you guys want to license it. But the CRM itself just keeps getting a little bit bigger, better, faster, and stronger as it goes. So the key components, truly the key components are, how do we do things from an integration perspective, right? Integration wise, it really starts at the email side of the house, being able to do things from the comfort of your own inbox. And when I say the comfort of your own inbox, I really mean being able to create contacts, create accounts, create opportunities, work with services, right? Tickets, things that come from that side of the house. But it's also bigger than that. The calendaring side of the house is actually just as important, right? If you want to live in Outlook, live in Gmail, and you want to do your scheduling from there, fantastic. We have ways of making sure that those meetings and those to-dos and all of those contacts can be associated to CRM entities, right? So it's not just a blind meeting that shows up on your calendar, you don't know who it's for, and right, things like that. Those activities will automatically be associated directly to stuff that's happening inside of the CRM. So we do a really good job of how we do email integration and how we do calendaring. We'll run through a little bit of that stuff towards the end here, right? Of course, you can't forget about getting information out of the system, right? Dashboards, reports, analytics, and we have lots of ways that you can deliver these types of visualizations, and we'll talk about some specific ones and some of the things that we've upgraded. Actually, they started upgrading even before 8.5, but we really did add a whole bunch of bells and whistles, if you will, to the CRM platform, moving forward in 8.5, and again, adding features and functions to version 9. And we'll talk about those, and I'll actually show them to you here in a little bit, right? But safe to say, we get information out of the system pretty well. The desktop, there's lots of new features and functions. We'll talk about those here in a second, but again, being able to get to your CRM data 24/7, 365, access it through a browser, and unless, of course, you're doing it from a LAN, old school way, right? But you still have the ability to get to it and control it from a browser, right? There's many benefits to having this in the cloud or being able to be reachable from your browser when we talk about delivering and getting to the content inside of your system. And then we can't forget that there's a whole mobile client that goes along with the platform, right? So we absolutely give you the mobile experience, and I do have to stress that the mobile experience, right? It's not built to be the full-blown desktop application. It's not built to give you every single feature and function that you have in the desktop version, but you probably get 90% of the stuff that you would do from the desktop client on your mobile phone. Now, the mobile application itself, and I call it a mobile application, and we can have a debate all you want about that, but we deliver an actual HTML5 application. Therefore, it's using a website. So you can give your team a URL, they can click on that link, and boom, it pulls up the mobile application. It's not more than 1 or 2 clicks away to save that as an icon, and that's how I have it on my environment. I've got lots of different mobile icons, so it is an application as far as I'm concerned. But there are a bunch of features and functions that come out of it, and it makes it much easier for us, right, Infor, to be able to manage, come up with updates, right, do customizations. There's a whole bunch of benefits to how we have chosen to do our mobile application. And the platform itself, pretty robust, right? Excuse me. So from an overall picture perspective, being able to access the information, being able to get information in there, being flexible on how your team can use it is something that we've just gotten better at over the years, right? But as we move from 8.5 to version 9, there's a number of things that we brought to the table from a version 9 perspective. And the things that I'm really pointing out here are the things that are customer facing or user facing. There's many things that we've added on the back end side of the house that have enabled us to get to where we are from a user usability perspective. And we're still going to add to those things as we go along the way. So when we really talk about some of the things that we've done, of course, the one that hits you right in the face is truly talking about the user interface, right? So for years and years and years, we keep hearing the same thing, right? People want to be able to do specific things. Well, we've now done some things on the back end side that has enabled us to do themes and colors and use style sheets to reorganize and make your controls and buttons and all the fields look bigger and different in the way that you want them to, right? So we've definitely really moved quickly down the path to allowing you to design a user interface to look and feel the way that you want it to look and feel, right? So I do realize and I do recognize that there's still plenty of people that are going to say, I don't like the user interface. And hey, there have been times that I don't like the user interface. To be perfectly honest, we here at Infor use all of the stuff that I'm talking about, right? So we use our own, right? We drink our own champagne. Someone said that I shouldn't say drink our own champagne because it makes the product sound like it's way too expensive. So I rolled it out to saying, hey, we eat our own dog food. And then I got the whole opposite side of that, right? So whatever the case may be, right? We drink our own champagne and we eat our own dog food. But our user interface, the way that we've designed it internally, doesn't make me very happy, right? But we've definitely customized it to do what we do, right? Our secret sauce. One of the things we brought to the table is a better level of personalization. How can I design my experience to meet the needs of the things that I do, right? So I always look at it 3 different levels: personalization, configuration, customization, right? So first and foremost, personalization, something that we do much, much better. I'll show you some of that stuff, right? Configuration, things that I can do from an administrative side of the house, right? I'm not necessarily going to let all of my end users have access to some of these features and functions, but from an administrator perspective, I can control fields and entities and databases and prepare for customizations, whether it's just filter side of the house or just the way that I do things for importing and exporting. I can handle that from the web browser, right? Being able to handle all those things there. And then, of course, we can't forget the full customization side of the house, right? So there is a full development suite that sits behind the scenes, right? If you like doing things in, I like to compare it to Visual Studio, right? It's kind of Visual Studio-like in how you write code and get to the triggers and all the, when you enter a form, when you leave a form, right? All of the real things that you would do to customize that experience still exist. Some of the things that we've done behind the scenes that I would never show in a demonstration, right? 64-bit application architect, right? We're moving really quickly to be able to make all of those things much, much better. So we can see things from the forefront, but we most certainly are making it better on the back end side for the people who are actually doing customizations. And if I jumped all the way down to number 4 at the bottom here, right, that would include that seamless upgrade, right? We've been telling this story for 100 years. I've been around long enough to where we originally started talking about the unified development environment, where we were going to have the ability to create LAN, web, and mobile and use the exact same development tool to produce, control, update all of them from the same spot, right? To be able to push out and use one user interface and have it automatically decide how it's going to push that stuff out to all those different clients. Well, that was something that was really, really hard. And we never quite got there, right? But along the way, we learned that we had to make this upgrade process a lot easier. So if you've actually gone from version to version, you know what you had to go through to make that happen. Well, if you've made it to 8.5 and then you get to version 9, you are then truly at what we're calling the seamless upgrade at that point, because we have separated out your customizations from the core, which means now we update the core and you don't have to do anything to your particular customizations. And we are really more like all of our other products in, you can do an update, doesn't bother any of the customizations that you've done on the system. So we've made that much more seamless. And I can say I have been a guinea pig for a lot of this because I've got demo environments that I brought forward, right? So I've just started bringing through, and I'll show you in my demo environment here in a few minutes, I've just brought through all of my stuff to version 9. And I have lots of customizations built in there, right? I have marketing stuff. I have telephone integration. I've got custom templates. I've got custom form. I mean, I am a poster child for how a customer would actually use the environment. And so now the development team and the QA team, they come to me and say, hey, can we use your environment to test this? Because they know now they're going to get a better feel for what's going to actually happen when a customer goes through this. So seamless upgrade. So I can say I made it from 8.4 to 8.5 with my demo environment. Things went pretty well. We had to fix a couple of things along the way. And then I went from 8.5 to 9.0 in one of my environments. And we had a couple of hiccups along the way, but we pointed those out to the development team and they made adjustments for us right away. And now I think we've figured it out. So I'm getting ready to roll this out to all my other demo environments so I can say, okay, it worked, it didn't work, right? But hopefully I'm really looking forward to going to 9.1, which that's a roadmap item, and maybe TechAd will have a webinar on future facing things where we can talk about here's what's coming on the roadmap, because there are some cool things coming on version 9.1, right? But in the 9.0 environment, right? User interface things, brand new mail merge that was actually introduced in 8.5, but has been enhanced to be better in 9.0, right? So we've kind of changed the way that you do mail merge development. Whereas before, anybody who's been around long enough, right? We were very dependent on Internet Explorer, right? You actually had to have the desktop enhancements installed. You had to, right? A bunch of things that you had to do to be able to create these mail merge documents. And of course, we all know that Internet Explorer has absolutely been retired, right? So we clearly had to come up with a way to make this more browser independent. And then, oh, by the way, how are you going to create these templates? So there's a couple of different ways that you can do it. One of them is Word-based. And I've made all my templates in Word. Why? Because I have access to thousands and thousands of pre-made templates, you know, from the Microsoft library and, you know, all the different websites that you can search for. And then from there, I just add all of the elements that I need onto my template. So I'll show you, well, actually the one on the screen right here is showing, right? The one on the right there, that's from a Microsoft out of the box Word template where I've actually taken elements out of CRM and pasted them, or, you know, put them into that particular template where I'm pulling out customer information, contact information. And this one is a, what is this? It's a quote, right? So I've got line item, quantity information, pricing information. Right? These are things coming directly out of the CRM in a nice mail merge functionality. So can you do it in a onesie twosie manner? This one was done where, and I'll actually walk through one, right? As long as I have time, I'll walk through a quick mail merge and show you how this exactly one was done. But the whole point of a mail merge is I want to do it to hundreds maybe, right? So I can do it to a group list, I can do it to a single person, I can do it to an account, right? We use all of the features and functions out of the CRM to be able to deliver this how you guys need it to be done. So this one was pushed out to a file, but you most certainly can push it out to an email, right? So it'll automatically mail it to you. And then of course, those attachments get put inside of CRM as well. So we've really done a pretty good job, at least in my opinion, on making the mail merge stuff more useful. We've been hearing about it for a long time. And we've added some features and functions to just make it easier for you to not necessarily have to have a full-blown marketing automation platform behind the scenes. Now, that's a whole conversation in itself as to why you would want to have a marketing automation platform, but that's not for this webinar, right? But I can most certainly tell you, I could talk to you, show you, demo for you all of the pluses and minuses behind having things like Inbox Guru or Sales Fusion or HubSpot or, you know, Marketo. Pick your poison of what your marketing automation platform would be, but there's plenty of positives that go along with how you would implement that inside of the CRM. And actually, even in my demo environment, I have one set up out there, right? So the last thing that I'll point out is actually workflows. Not sure if anybody is aware that they're out there. They were born in 8.5, and they've been made better in version 9, where we've actually rolled out some of the approval processes that goes out there. So I can create a workflow that not only does notifications, but also adds people to the approval process. So I can say, hey, somebody sent out this quote, and this quote, you're not allowed to send out a quote that is greater than 10%, has a 10% discount, right? So that's an alert workflow that might fire off there. Maybe we'll walk through an actual one of the workflows that I have out there. But from a CRM perspective, lots of good things. that we're adding. Again, let's not forget the stuff that we're rushing to do on the back end of the platform itself. I mentioned 64-bit, right? We should have done that 100 years ago, right? Everybody knows that. And finally, we're getting around to it. And I scratch my head as a developer. I'm like, well, really, isn't it just recompiling this with a 64-bit compiler? And of course, everybody knows that's not the case. It takes a little bit more work than that. And we finally putting the effort in, which is going to alleviate for any developers who are actually doing development. I would guess that TechAd is going to be more happy about the stuff that we're doing on the back end than most of the customers that are on the call here today, right? That TechAd's doing the work for you, but this is going to make their job a little bit easier, a little bit cleaner to do those types of things. So I'd say let's pause for a minute for comments and questions, but I'll actually keep plowing forward. I'll actually walk through version 9 and give you a little bit of a tour, and then we'll definitely have plenty of time to open the door for questions. So I'm gonna, let's see, I'm gonna actually say put away PowerPoint for the moment. Did that work? I think it did. And then I'm just going to jump into CRM, right? So I'm in, yeah, we got our little webinar going on right here. So this is version 9. So anybody who's been around long enough still has the same look and feel. Navigationally wide, right? All of the primary entities along the left-hand side, your recently viewed and scheduling, and there's a new feature right there, the new log feature. I'll talk about that in a minute, right? And here's the new compose menu for when I'm talking about using templates. We put those up at the top of the screen, and then of course the all-important theming. I'll do some theming things here in a minute, right? It wouldn't be fair for me to not talk about the history for just a second, right? Because when you talk about where we are and how we got here, the product's been around for over 28 years, right? Originally, way back when it was called Sales Logic. So we've gone through a couple of different owners, right? SwiftPage owned us for a while. Now Infor's owned us for 8 years at this point. And their goal when they purchased us was really to do all the integration to all of their ERPs, right? The reality of what Infor is an ERP company, right? I don't know, I think we have like 16 different ERPs for lots of different industries. And, we've got one for everybody's taste buds to do whatever they needed to do. And they wanted to have a consistent user interface, consistent CRM that they could plug into all these things. And that's one of the main reasons that they gobbled us up, was to do that. And of course, we've done that, right? We integrate with almost all of our ERPs. So you can have what I like to say, the big boy, big girl CRM, because most of those actually have their own light version of CRM. But if you need mobile and marketing and a whole bunch of other things, right, you're going to want to use Infor CRM SLX, right? So we've been around for a while. And when we show dashboards here, the reason for that is we've been doing dashboards for a really long time. And truth be told, we still sell an awful lot of the CRM standalone, right? So if you're familiar with the infrastructure, right? Infrastructure that comes with Mingle, right? And when you get Mingle, you get dashboards. When you get Mingle, you also get a flavor of Burst, right? So you get our analytics platform that goes out there. Shameless plug for those products, by the way. But those are things that you get automatically. And so they have their flavors of dashboarding. And if you were to do it in that world, you would probably create all of your dashboards in Mingle. That way you can actually do visualizations that connect up to CPQ and ERP and CRM and LMNOP, right? All of the systems out there, and put them on a single visualization. But for us here, our dashboards are CRM dashboards, right? Because if you're running standalone, you're not connected to anything. So we gave you the ability to create much newer, more modern looking dashboards, right? So for the old school who've been around for a while, we still have these, and they may go away at some point, right? But the old welcome screens, everybody's familiar with those things, still have the pie charts and bar charts and line charts to be able to visualize and look at things. But moving forward, again, part of that UI modernization process, we've now added dashboards, right? So you could use them both. You don't have to use them both. The choice is yours, whatever you want to do. And they still too have the look and feel and have those widgets, if you will, that you would expect to have. But there's some added features and functions that come to these. So, right, standard pie charts. And I do giggle every time I do this presentation, right? I've got pie charts and donut charts, right? So I guess if you're a pie person, you do pie charts. If you're a donut person, right, you use donuts. I happen to be a cake person myself. I prefer cake over donuts and pies, but there is no cake widget. So I've got pie charts and donut charts, a new speedometer that's out here, but we still have the bar charts and the line charts, right? I actually have list views just like you did in the old welcome screen. So you can create visibilities that look just like the old ones looked, right? But these are much more modern, and they have some more interactability. Is that a word, interactability? I'm not sure, right? So if I wanted to go in here and say, I don't want to see any of my empty, right? This tells me I got 25% of my stuff in here that doesn't have an opportunity with a stage. So if I don't want to see those, I can just click on it and say, get rid of it, right? So now I'm looking at a more representative view of what my pie chart or what my opportunities by stage look like, right? So you can do that on any one of these things. If I want to pull Robert out, he seems to be pulling out, add him out there, get rid of everybody, add them all back, right? And even when you drill into a particular control or a widget, you now have the ability not only to control the size and the height and all the standard stuff that you would think of, but you can actually have multiple data sources, right? So think about that for a second. I can actually add multiple data sources here, so I can look at different views, whether that's a different group or a different table, or I want to create actual SQL statements myself to go against the database, but I can have multiple data sources to allow me to create the visualizations that I need to have. So that's some flexibility that we built into the dashboard. So of course, for me, I've got my standard sales one. I think I was just starting to build the services one the other day, right? How many tickets by category, agent workload, right? These are the ones that I've used forever. And then of course, all of the ones that are in the list view. So if I needed to, I could drill right through to that particular ticket if I needed to. I know I just started to build out my leads bucket here. And I have, I'm not too creative sometimes when it comes to some of these things. So I haven't really thought of how the other visualizations I want, but I do a lot of importing of leads, right, for particular customers to show them features and functions. So this one is actually real when I actually bring data into the system, so I can see, right, I'm below my selected number inside of the CRM, right? So it's actually pretty nice that I have the ability to create these widgets. And again, like the old school way, I can still jump out and go look at the group if I needed to be able to go look at some of these things. On my own added functionality, and remember I gave the shameless plug for Burst, so I might as well show Burst here for just a second, right? I've created my own link. This would be a customization, soon to be a configuration, right? So I gave those three: personalization, configuration, customization. Right now, this is a customization. I had to go in behind the scenes, sling a little bit of code to be able to put this button in here to make sure that I could call out to my Burst dashboard, right? So this is Burst. So the configuration side of the house is soon I'm going to be able to add the widget, add the menu item, and then select, right, from a configuration perspective, what dashboard do I want to use here, right? So right now this is hardwired for my one single particular dashboard, right? But Burst available gives me all the flexibility. I can still go in and do the things that I would do with Burst, slicing and dicing and drilling into the data to be able to see the types of things that I needed to see, right? But that, again, shameless plug for Burst. So let's talk about the CRM. And I am logged in as an administrator. I get this all the time when I do the demonstration. Wow, all these menu items and things are kind of scary. But as the administrator, of course, I get to see everything. But as an end user, a standard user, whatever role type that you define, you're probably not going to see everything. But for me, it's easier for me to be able to go through the marketing service administration, right? As the administrator, when I talk about configurations, this is where all the configuration stuff happens, right? The configuration magic happens over here. And then, of course, being able to configure the integration to my ERPs and all the different things that I would do there, right? But from a sales side of the house, what do I say? Accounts, contacts, leads, and opportunity. Hierarchically, all that stuff is still the same. So I'm not teaching you anything new, right? But from here, right, if I talk about some of the bells and whistles, right? Everyone gets themselves all hot and bothered under the collar over being able to do, changing my theme, right? Someone told me this the other day. That's just simply going from the light mode to the dark mode theme. I'm saving oodles and oodles of electricity, right? Because my monitor is, suddenly went into low electronic utilization here, right? So, sometimes I like the dark mode, sometimes I don't. But what's different here is we've also added to the to-do list, which is probably a 9.1 thing, then I want to be able to go up here and I want to be able to go into more of the theme where I want to change the font color, change the font size, right? Those are done in style sheets right now. And one of the things that we've added for version 9 is a custom style sheet that you can go in and change anything that you want. So if you're a style sheet person, knock yourself out with changing style sheets. But coming soon is that's going to be a, I'm going to say, point and click type of functionality where I'll be able to go up here and say if I want to change the color and I want to make it red, right? Oh, did I say red? Colors, that azure is blue, right? If I wanted to say red, I wanted to say red, right? So it automatically goes and changes. And all this is doing is making a change to the style sheet, right? So you can do that by hand and then add your own themes and your own colors in here. My favorite theme right now happens to be the high contrast mode. So depending on who you're talking to, they might have, different views on it, but nice enough to say I can, and high contrast means a little bit different, right? When you actually get into, say, the meat and potatoes, right? List views are still list views, right? Filters are still filters, right? Not something new that you guys would see. But when I drill into an account at this point, now the high contrast mode really kind of looks like this. So if I were to go up here and say, let's change the theme here to make it the dark theme, right? So the dark theme looks a little, right? A little dark for me, but it actually works, and it's still all the other menu items and stuff work out here. And again, like I said, I like the high contrast mode because when I go in the light mode here, a little too bright for me, a little bit white. So this for me, the high contrast mode just kind of softens it up for me just a little bit and gives me, I like the definition of the fields that are out there, right? But one of the new things too allows you to put logos in, right? Silly as it may seem, but I can't tell you how many people have just screamed over being able to see the ability to have a logo simply put in there. And it's drag and drop. If I had another logo, I just drag it and put it in there. And we've done the same thing over here for contacts, right? Inside the contact screen, I can now put smiley faces out there. So I can actually see the picture of the person who's out there, right? Who am I talking to? And maybe create and have multiple pictures as they grow over the years, right? But the idea, again, we've reorganized a number of the screens. So we've kind of consolidated, wrapped things up a little bit here to make it a little bit more user-friendly. And again, part of the goal here is to make it easier for you to see and get to the information that you need. So user interface stuff is forefront, right? So still that ability, anything that's a link, if I click on his email address, your email client's going to pop up right away. When we talk about going back and forth to who the customer is, everybody knows that underneath the covers hierarchically down the side here, right? Those things are all available over here, right? So indeed, contacts, who am I talking to? What have I done? All of the meetings and to-dos that are out there, the notes and history, right? Opportunity screens, all of this stuff down here has pretty much stayed the same. When I was on John, I actually had the sales insights screen up. Right, that is the marketing. I guess I should jump back over there since I'm going to talk about it. Right, when we talk about sales insights, right, these are some of the things that come back or can come back from your marketing automation side of the house, based on clicks, based on reads, based on bounced emails, based on things that they do on your website. Right, you can create those scoring rules, and then really quickly I can actually create priorities and urgencies, and you can really define them any way you want. And then what do you get out of that? You get actionable information, right? I can create a workflow that says, hey, when somebody gets a person score over 100, I might want to alert their sales rep, or I might want to put them into a different marketing campaign, or right, I can come up with 100 scenarios of things that I might do based on just changing person scores. But usually that comes from a marketing automation piece, right? I've sent them out an email, it didn't bounce. Well, they get some brownie points for that, right? They clicked on the link, they get some points for that. They read the email and clicked on the link inside of the email, they get more points, right? They went to the website from that link and they filled out the form, right? More points, right? So all the different, just sales 101 kind of things that you can do from there, right? So it's really nice, some of the things that you can actually do marketing wise, but again, really nice features and functions. So let's talk about one of the new ones called the logging feature, right? The logging feature really is something that people have asked for a long time, because if you've done anything with the CRM where you've created a meeting or an activity or a phone call, right, and you just wanted to do it right away, you always had to create that meeting, right, and save the meeting. And then if you wanted to finish it, you had to go back into the meeting to finish it. Well, we've learned and heard from many, many people that sometimes I'm just going to create the meeting and finish the meeting right now. So we created the log function, right? It's really the same thing, create the meeting, right? And from that meeting right away, I'm going to finish it, right? So I don't have to save it, call it back up, and then finish it, right? So all the same features and functions here, except right now we're saying, I know that I'm logging this, I'm finishing this meeting right now, right? So just one of those silly new features and functions that makes the product more usable for the team. We heard, we adjusted, we brought that to the table, right? So I'm not going to do one right now. The other one happens to be the compose menu, right? So did I open this up? I did, right? So from the compose menu, this is where I might do a mail merge template, right? I would merge a document in here. Instead of doing it right here, I actually have Word pulled up. Oh, I do. Fantastic, right? I've got a Word document that this has that template, right, that I put in there. And this one's already merged, right? But underneath Word, much like XBAR, right? Anybody who's using XBAR right now, there's a plugin, right? It gets installed into here. And when you do that thing for mail merge, you get the new mailings menu, right? So underneath the mailings menu, right, I can manage all my templates from here if I have a whole bunch of them. And it actually puts them in the database. So hopefully this is going to connect, because I should have connected before I did this morning. There it is. Thank goodness it actually connected for me today. No, connects all the time, right? But here's some of the silly ones that I've made. The one that's on the screen right now happens to be the quote template, so I can pull them up, but this is where you can manage them. And of course, you can pull in templates from the Microsoft library. So if it has bubbles or, you know, different colors that you want on it, that's fantastic that you can actually do that. But if I wanted to compose a mail merge, right, from that mail merge, this is where I said you can do it a couple of different ways, right? So I've pulled this one up here, and actually I'm going to actually put this away. I'm going to cheat. I lied to you. I'm going to go do this a different way because that one's already geared up for something else. So take it just a second, right? Word comes up, right? Blank document, right? So from here, mail merge, I want to compose a mail merge, right? So in here, now I get to go and do that same thing where I can select, right, my template. So if I say I want to use my quote template, and now if I wanted to assign this properly, really, I'm going to mail out a quote to a single record, or I could do it to a group, right? But I'll do it from a standard one right here. Give me an opportunity to go look up my quotes. Maybe, there we go. Which one do I want? I don't remember which one I want. Let's take this guy right here, right? So now there's a whole bunch of things that you can add here. So this one right now, send it to the primary address. I could actually push this out to an email, but then I can't show it to you when I'm done, right? But who's it going to? Follow the rules of the do not solicit. Now you have the ability at this point to say, hey, I want to take this and add it to notes and history. Remember, everything that's a drop-down list, you get to add out here. Here's what's on my little demo list here. So I'm completing it regarding the quote that I'm sending out. Category, what have I got here, right? Goodwill visit, and then put all my notes in here, right? And of course, now follow-up options. If I wanted to automatically schedule a new meeting, right? I'm sending out the new quote. Now we want to set up a meeting to say, hey, let's review that quote. So I can set this up right away, right? To automatically do that. Or I can simply say merge. It's going to go out and do the merge thing. Right? It's going to generate that thing when it's all done here. Thank you. Say it's all done. So that's over here now. If I go look at my quote, there it is, right? So generated today on the 8th. Right, that's the old one versus this is one that I have where I haven't cleaned up the table itself, right? But it's got some formatting stuff. So this is actually a good example between the first one and the second one that I showed you, right? This one I needed to go fix, clean up a little bit more because I got my pricing, but formatting all the different things that you could do. The other one actually had really nice formatting that goes into it. But underneath the mailings, when you do a compose and you insert fields, all of the fields that you have available, right? So if I wanted to add them in here. So mail merge, something that we've actually made much, much better inside of the platform, right? So let's take a minute here and talk a little bit about workflows and what workflows are all about. So workflows, you have different levels of workflows. So let us not be confused. I talked about the Mingle environment. If you're doing workflows from Mingle, that's where you can actually do a workflow that goes and does things between different applications that are connected to Mingle. But when we're talking about CRM workflows, if I go up here and say integrations, and that you guys, when you get a chance, you should complain about this, right? Because we buried this menu so far down in here, and I really don't like it, right? It's something that should be much more accessible way up at the top, right? CRM workflows that I have defined in here. And inside here, I've got a couple of them defined. Credit hold, right? We'll talk about credit hold, really silly, easy one to follow along with, right? But inside here, these are the different workflows that I have. If I drill into one, defining these things are pretty straightforward, right? You have a rule that goes along with it. So here, when the status of an account goes to credit hold, right? So I'll make one go into credit hold here in just a minute. Underneath there, then you're going to have something that happens. So for me, this is a notify action. So if I edit this, what does that mean? The notify action is, hey, I'm going to send out an email, right? Here's my little email format. And as you can see inside here, I've got little pointers. So inside the email, it's going to have the account name, right? The account user, right? It's going to have a link to that actual record inside there. And it's going to automatically send it out to, who am I sending this to? Well, I'm sending it, of course, to myself. Here I'm doing a little trick right now because it's not quite ready, but I'm sending it out to a particular inbox. And then when it hits that inbox, it's automatically sending me a text message, right? So this notification goes to my email inbox, also sends me a text message. So I'm not holding my breath yet, but I will say in a future release, I will be able to actually send this directly to a text provider, and then it will be a text message right after. But I'm sending it also to Mike Streeter when this thing goes out here, right? So that's something simple that happens. And what does that mean? That means if I go into an account and I'm working with an account, I guess I could have gone to my recently viewed, right? And suddenly, for whatever reason, Abbott Worldwide or Abbott International goes on to credit hold, right? For whatever reason. Usually that's an ERP status, right? So that's what I want. When from the ERP, they go on credit hold, that automatically gets synchronized to CRM and they're on credit hold. When I say save here, it's automatically going to fire off that trigger. So in a minute here, I'll get an email and it'll say credit hold. But that's some of the workflow stuff that goes out there. So bigger, better, faster, stronger, prettier, right? All, lots of adjectives that I could use for version 9. I will say that I'm again getting really excited for some of the things that we're doing with version 9, looking forward to the future releases that are coming out there so we can do things from a journey mapping perspective, marketing integrations, whether we have more that are readily integratable, right? I like to call it the open marketing platform, right? The idea is being able to pick your poison, excuse me, for your marketing automation platform, and then you pick the fields that you want to move left and right. Some really good ideas that are coming and moving forward. But version 9, really excited. It's available now. So hopefully you guys will want to make that move to version 9. So I'm going to pause here and I'll turn it back over to Trev so we can open up the doors for some questions and comments.
All right, thank you, Ed. Yeah, anybody have any questions or anything? Let's go ahead and put that in the chat. I don't know if you can unmute yourself or not. If you can, go ahead and talk.
Yeah, they might have to use the chat. I'm not sure, or actually you have to control it to allow people to come off of mute, right?
Yeah, I think so. I may not know what I'm doing.
Yeah, I'm not a big Zoom person, right? I know how to do that in Teams, but I don't know how to do it in Zoom.
Yeah, I don't see a button. So yeah, if anybody has anything, go ahead and add it in the chat if you're not able to talk. All right, well, I don't see any questions.
So quiet group today, and that's fine, yep. Right? Trev, actually, you guys know I'm always available for you and your team. If you want me to work with any of your customers, I most certainly am willing to do that as well. I will say that the CRM, we can go way deeper, right? This was kind of flat and wide to be able to see some new things inside of version 9, but for sure, it's a very deep product. It's been around for a very long time, and I'm always happy to help out, show, teach, whatever we need to do just to keep moving the platform forward.
All right. Well, if anybody has any other questions, after this. I can go ahead and email me. There we go. Go ahead and email me, or you can email Megan, our Director of Customer Success, for any other questions or any information, any additional information you would like. So yeah, unless anybody has any more questions, thanks for coming. Ed, thanks for showing us that.
My pleasure.
And have a good day, everybody.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Happy holidays.